Magandang gabi sa inyong lahat, or sa ating lahat, magandang gabi. We're going to tackle now the Nstp Module 5, and this is the Nationalism and Patriotism. So itatakal natin dito ang ating pagiging nationalistic o pagiging nationalism sa nationalismo sa ating inang bayan at ganoon na rin ang pagiging patriotism natin. So, I'm just gonna set up all the things that I need to set up. And we're going to start the live. Okay. So we're going to tackle now the Module 5, Nationalism and Patriotism. Welcome to Module 5 of Nstp 1. This module will be discussing the difference between nationalism and patriotism, the history of nationalism and patriotism in the Philippines, and the Philippine national symbols. At the end of this module, we will be able to, number 1, identify the characteristics that differentiate the nationalism from patriotism. Number 2, comprehend the original of nationalism and patriotism in the Philippine context. Number 3 is illustrate the different national symbols that distinguish the Philippines to other countries in the world. Difference between nationalism and patriotism. Nationalism versus patriotism. Nationalism and patriotism both show the relationship of an individual towards his or her nation. The two are often confused and frequently believed that to mean the same thing. However, there is a vast difference between nationalism and patriotism. Nationalism means to give more importance to unity by the way of cultural background, including language and heritage. Patriotism pertains to the love for a nation, with more emphasis on values and belief. When talking about nationalism and patriotism, one cannot avoid the famous quotation by George Orwell, who said that nationalism is the worst enemy of peace. According to him, nationalism is a feeling that one's country is superior to another in all respects, while patriotism is merely a feeling of admiration for a way of life. These concepts shows that patriotism is passive by nature and nationalism can be a little aggressive. Patriotism is based on affection and nationalism is rooted in rivalry and resentment. One can say that nationalism is militant by nature and patriotism is based on peace. Most nationalists assume that their country is better than any other, whereas patriots believe that their country is one of the best and can be improved in many ways. Patriot tends to believe in friendly relations with other countries while some nationalists don't. Fast fact: George Orwell was an English novelist, essayist, and critic most famous for his novels Animal Farm 1945 and 1984 1949. So here in patriotism, people all over the world are considered equal, but nationalism implies that only the people belonging to one's own country should be considered one's equal. A patriotic person tends to tolerate criticisms and try to learn something new for it. But a nationalist cannot tolerate any criticism and consider it an insult. Nationalism makes one want to think only of one's country's virtues and not its beneficiaries. Benefi- Deficiencies. I'm sorry. Nationalism makes one to think only of one's country's virtues and not its deficiencies. Nationalism can also make one contemptuous of the virtues of other nations. Patriotism, on the other hand, pertains to value responsibilities rather than just valuing loyalty towards one's own country. Nationalism makes one try to find justification for mistakes made in the past, while patriotism enables people to understand both the shortcomings and improvement made. The history of nationalism and patriotism in the Philippines. The history of nationalism and patriotism in the country is as old as the history of mankind. Oftentimes, this is part of the discussion of educational institution since this is the major trust of the government and the backbone of human principle. However, this basic understanding does not manifest in most part of the land. The philosophy of nationalism nowadays does not concern itself much with the aggressive and dangerous form of nationalism that often occupies stage in the news of social research, although this form can be significantly instrumental value, mobilizing oppressed people and giving them a sense of dignity. Philippine nationalism is an upsurge of patriotic sentiments and nationalistic ideals in the Philippines in the late 1800s that came as a result of the Filipino propaganda movement from 1872 to 1892. It has become the main ideology of the first Asian nationalist revolution, the Philippine Revolution of 1896. Spain already ruled the Philippines for about 333 years before Philippine nationalism was developed. Towards the 19th century, the bureaucratic centralized government established in Manila has caused widespread discontent in entire archipelago. But there was yet no united front against the Spanish regime. Many revolts can cause their either personal discontent or of territorial defense. The belated development of Philippine nationalism was caused by natives' tendency to be regionalistic. The geography of the Philippines did not help. The Philippine Insular and the people were divided by water. In fact, the term Filipino originally means Spaniard born in the Philippines and not the native inhabitants. But certain events eventually led to the development of native patriotism. Things that happened which transcended the cultural and geographical boundaries that have been barriers to the unification of the inhabitants of the archipelago. The earliest sign of the Filipino nationalism could be seen in the writings of Luis Rodriguez Valera or Varela. The earliest signs of Filipino nationalism could be seen in the writings of Luis Rodriguez Varela, a Creole educated in liberal France and highly exposed to the romanticism of the age. Knighted under the order of Carlos III, Varela perhaps in the only Creole who was actually part of European nobility. The court gazette in Madrid announces that he was to become a conde and from the point of proudly called himself Conde Filipino. He championed the rights of Filipino in the island and slowly made the term applicable to anyone born in Philippines. However, by 1823, he was deported together with other Creoles after being associated with the Creole revolt in Manila led by the Mexican Creole Andres Novales. Valera Valera would then retire from politics, but his nationalism was carried on by another Creole Padre Pelaez, who campaigned for the rights of the Filipino priests and pressed for secularization of Philippine parishes. The Latin American Revolution and decline of friar influence in Spain resulted in the increase of regular clergy friars in the Philippines. Filipino priests were being replaced by Spanish friars, and Pelaez demanded explanation as to the legality of replacing a secular with regulars. Pelaez brought the case to the Vatican, almost succeeded, if not for an earthquake that cut his career short, and the ideology would be carried by his more militant disciple Jose Burgos. Jose Burgos in turn died after the infamous Cavite Mutiny, which was pinned on the Burgos as his attempt to start a Creole revolution and make himself president or rey indio. The death of Jose Burgos and the other alleged conspirators, Mariano Gomez and Jacinto Zamora, seemingly ended the entire Creole movement in 1872. Governor General Rafael de Izquierdo unleashed his reign of terror in order to prevent the spread of Creole ideology, which is the Filipino nationalism. Craig, 2007. So we have here the fast fact. Order of Charles III was established by King Charles III of Spain by means of the Royal Decree of 19 September 1771, which the motto Virtuti et Merito. Its objective is to reward people for their action in benefit to Spain and in the crown. Since its creation, it has been the most distinguished civil reward or award that can be granted in Spain despite as a military order. The Philippines have cradled from the past up the present times. Some of these greatest heroes that inspired millions of Filipino people in every generation, and through their works and visions, revolutionized the course of Philippine history. Dr. Jose P. Rizal, the national heroes of the Philippines and the pride of the Malayan race, through his inspirational works and radical novels, became an icon became the icon of freedom during the Philippine Revolution. That was 1896 to 1898. Filipinos have a great list of historical personalities. People often found in books and other reading materials with abundant discussions from their birth, legacies, and death. However, we have more heroes than we expected. There are many personages who, instead of being the central character of most historic battles and events, find themselves more useful as undercover or doing what seems to be minor yet equally significant task. Unsung heroes were the so-called forgotten people in the Philippine history. People who unfortunately were not given much attention in traditional studies and mainstream histories, but are equally heroic in their own simple yet significant ways. There are peripically discussed or rarely mentioned people who have nonetheless distinguished themselves for their heroic deeds and martyrdoms. They have often worked behind prominent heroes but have done dangerous and complicated tasks which made many battles and revolts possible, if not successful. And now, Filipinos should recognize the heroism and patriotism of these unsung heroes who have contributed to the development of Filipino nationalism and the transformation of Philippine society. Some of them were Macario Sakay, born in Tondo in September 30, 1907. He relentlessly fought against the American rule during the American colonization. He was the one who founded the Tagalog Republic, an organization which pushed for Filipino self-determination and independence. Jose Palma, born also in Tondo, he was a poet aside from being a soldier. He wrote a Spanish poem titled Filipinas, which was published in the La Liga Filipina. The verses of Filipinas later became the lyrics of the Philippine National Anthem, Galiciano Apacible. He became the first president of La Solidaridad. Tama ba? He became the first president of La Solidaridad, a society of Filipino intellectuals in Spain who tried to represent the Philippines to bring forth its issues and concern in the Spanish Parliament. Nstp CWT SLTS 2012. History of Philippine flags. So we are here in Philippine national symbols. So break down the history of the Philippine flag. The Philippine national flag is said to be primary symbols of the nation's camaraderie, solidarity, and unity. It is therefore the symbol of nationalism and patriotism is in our country. And so let learn more about its history and origin. The national flag of the Philippines is a horizontal bicolor with equal bands of blue and red, and with a white equilateral triangle base at the hoist side. In the center of the triangle is a golden yellow sun with 8 primary rays, each containing 3 individual rays, and at each corner of the triangle is a 5-pointed golden yellow star. The flag was first conceptualized by Emilio Aguinaldo. The first flag was sewn in Hong Kong by Marcela Agoncillo, her daughter Lorenza, and Doña Delfina Herbosa de Natividad, niece of Jose Rizal, the Philippine national hero. The flag is displayed with the blue field on top in times of peace. and with a red field on top in times of war. The Philippine flag is unique in the sense that it can indicate a state of war when the red field is displayed on top or on the observer's left when the flag is displayed vertically with a white equilateral triangle on top of at the top end. The flag is horizontally divided into two fundamental colors. Color royal blue and scarlet red with a white equilateral triangle base at the hoist side. The blue field stands for peace, truth, and justice. Red field stands for bravery, and the white field stands for equality and fraternity. At the center of the triangle is a golden yellow sun with 8 primary rays represent the first provinces that sought independence from Spain, such as Batangas, Bulacan, Cavite, Laguna, Manila, Nueva Ecija, Pampanga, and Tarlac, each containing 3 individual rays, and at each corner of the triangle is a 5-pointed golden yellow star. Accordingly, the star of the Philippine flag represent the 3 major geographical subdivisions of the country: Luzon, Visayas, and Mindanao. However, and Mindanao, or the so-called Luz Bininda. However, in an article published by the National Historical Institute in a newspaper correcting the common misinterpretation about the Philippine flag says that the 3 star represent the Philippine three geographic regions, Luzon, Visayas, and Mindanao, is not historically correct. The country's flag actually tells you the story of Philippine Revolution. In the proclamation of the country's independence, the 3 stars represented 3 stars represent the Philippine three geographic regions, Luzon, Visayas, and Mindanao, is not historically correct. The country's flag actually tells you the story of Philippine Revolution. In the proclamation of the country's independence, the 3 star represent the 3 islands where the revolution against Spain actually started: Luzon, Mindanao, and Panay, where in this revolutionary movement broke out. Another common historical misconception. Okay, another common historical error being taught is about the 8 rays in the flag. Oh yes, in the 8 rays in the flag. Students were taught that the 8 rays represent the 8 provinces which first revolted against Spain in 1896. The proper historical basis in the proclamation of Philippine independence, which explains that the 8 provinces, Manila, Cavite, Bulacan, Pampanga, Nueva Ecija, Tarlac, Laguna, and Batangas, were declared in the state of war almost as soon as revolutionary movement was initiated. How to display our national flag? In naval vessels, the national flag shall be flown in all naval vessels and on merchant ships of Philippine registry of more than 1,000 gross tons. When planted on the ground, the flagpole shall be at a prominent place and shall be as such height as would give the national flag commanding position in relation to the buildings in the vicinity. The flagpole shall not be of equal height of the higher or higher than the Independence flagpole of Rizal Park, Manila. Whereas on from a flagpole of hanging, if flown from a flagpole, its blue field should be on top in time of peace and red field in time of war. Even if it is hanging position, the blue field shall be to the left, so observer points of view. So the blue field on my left, if I'm going to look at it, it's on my left in time of peace. And in time of war, the red flag will be on left. With flags of other countries, with flags of other countries, when the national flag is flown with flags or flags of other countries, the flag must be equal size and on separate staffs of the same height. The national flag shall be hoisted first and lowered last. With a semicircle formation, when the national flag is displayed in a semicircle of the flags with other countries or house flags, the national flag should be at the center. When in row or parade, when displayed in a row or a parade with flags or other countries, the national flag shall be on the left, observer's point of view of the other flags and is flown with flags or flags of the other countries. The flag of other countries shall be arranged in alphabetical order from left to right. When honoring the dead, the national flag may be used to cover the casket of the honored death of the military veterans or previous wars, veterans of previous wars, and national artists and of civilians who have rendered distinguished service to the nation, as may be determined by the local government unit concerned. In such cases, the national flag shall be placed such that the white triangle shall be at the head of the blue portion shall be covered the right side of the casket. The national flag shall not be lowered to the grave or allowed to touch the ground, but shall be folded solemnly and handed over to the heirs of deceased of the next of kin. National flag shall be displayed in private buildings and residences or raised in the open flag staffs in front of said buildings every April 9, Araw ng Kagitingan, May 1, Labor Day, National Flag Days from 28 to June 12, Independence Day. Last Sunday of August, National Heroes Day, November 30, Bonifacio Day, and December 30, Rizal Day. And on such days, as many be declared or approved by the President or local chief executives. On the other hand, it is prohibited to mutilate, deface, defile, trampled on, cast contempt, or commit any act of omission, casting dishonor or ridicule upon the national flag or over its surface. It is prohibited to use the national flag as drapery, festoon, and tablecloth. Also, the national flag cannot be used as covering for ceilings, walls, statues, or other objects. The use as a pennant in the hood, side, back, and top of the motor vehicle were not allowed. The use of national flag in whole or in part as a costume or uniforms under any painting or picture using as trademarks are trademarks or industrial, commercial, or agricultural labels or design were also exclusion in the use of national flag. Pambansang puno or Philippine national tree. Philippine national symbols or mga pambansang sagisag ng Pilipinas 2006. Nara or Angsana, Pterocarpus indicus. Nara tree is a striking, large, and strong shady tree. It is one of the most wanted wood for furniture, but because there are only a few trees left, cutting down a Nara tree is no longer allowed. It is the most found in Bicol, Mindanao, and the Cagayan Valley forests. The Nara trees grow all over the Philippine Islands and are mostly found and grown in Bicol, Mindanao, and the Cagayan Valley forests. Pambansang dahon or Philippine national leaf. Anahaw or fan palm, Livistona rotundifolia in Latin. Anahaw or fan palm, the Filipino word anahaw or anahaw are nice looking tropical palm known for its round fan shaped leaves. Its leaves has some uses like to fan yourself during hot days. The Tagalogs of Quezon province even use it to wrap their brown and delicious tikoy. Anahaw leaves are also a widespread symbol in the Philippines that is often used in awards and medals to represent high achievements, strength, and loyalty. The anahaw leaf features a large round outline and it's glossy green in color. It is spread out grandly from the center of the shaft and opens to the full crest, divided shallowly at the ends, and is known to be one of the most beautiful plants in the Philippines. Pambansang prutas or Philippine national fruit. Mangga, Mangifera indica. Philippine mango is a bizarre tropical fruit prevalently known to be a yellow in color, which achieves its addictive taste through its scrupulous harvest procedures. Philippine mango is recognized worldwide for its best qualities, which cannot be beaten by any kind of mangoes around the globe. It is one fruit of versatile ways to enjoy its taste. Green mango can be served as a salad constituent, while golden yellow mango has diversities of ways to relish its uniqueness. It can be served as plain, processed, dried, or frozen. This delicious fruit is world known for its sweetest character. Philippine mango is an ideal dessert served in many ways and has been known as the fruit of the gods. Teka lang, sandali lang tayo sa mga pambansang ito. Pambansa. Alright. So we're here now in pambansang ibon. Pambansang ibon or Philippine national bird. Agila ng Pilipinas or Philippine eagle, Pithecofaga jeffrey. Philippine eagle, or also known as the monkey-eaten eagle, stands over 3 feet or 1 meter tall. It has a large, sharp, curved beak. It has feathers that seems to be bristle on its head. It is a giant forest raptor and is considered excellent hunters. It is considered one of the largest and most powerful eagles in the world and one of the world's rarest and definitely one of the world most seriously endangered vertebrate bird kind with only about 500 birds in the wild. It lives in tropical rainforests and it lays only one or two eggs each year. There are only a few of them now because of the disappearance of trees in our mountains. Pambansang hayop or Philippine national animal. Kalabaw or carabao or water buffalo is the tame type of water buffalo. Kalabaw Filipino. Kalabaw in Filipino. So this is a tame type of water buffalo. Bubalus, bubalis, or sometimes Bubalus carabanesis in the Philippines. Being the farm animal of choice for pulling the plow and cart used to tow farm produce to the market. Carabaos are warmly associated with farmers. Its lifespan is 18 to 20 years and the female carabao can deliver one calf each year. So we are here in Philippine national fish or bangus or milkfish, chanos. Deboned milkfish or boneless bangus has become popular in store and markets because milkfish is known for being bonier than other food fish in the Philippines. Bangus is a popular table fare among Filipinos. To the biologists, it is naturally strong fish since it is capable in adapting and thrives even in the limited unusual environment of the fish ponds. This feature is not frequently found in most other fish classed. Pambansang bulaklak o Philippine national flower, sampagita or Arabian jasmine, Jasminium sambac. I don't understand why it's our Philippine national flower, but it's not native to us. It's not native to Filipino. It's not native in Philippines. Look at the name, Arabian jasmine. Philippine sampagita flower is a white, star-shaped blossom which has sweet fragrance. It opens at night and droops in less than a day. The white flowers are often made into wreath and its extract made into perfumes. Sampagita is not a tree, but a woody vine. The flower called was accepted as the national flower of the Philippines in 1934, which also happened to be national flower of Indonesia. Pambansang pagkain o Philippine national dish, lechon or roasted pigs. The lechon is a very popular and famous food among Filipinos. Lechon or litson in Tagalog is roasted whole pig cooked over burning charcoals. It is a dish that is almost a fixed part of a menu centerpiece of any Filipino celebration, which is usually prepared for fiestas, family celebration like parties and marriages, and also a favorite dish during Christmas. Lechon is the Spanish name for pig. In the Philippines, it means a split roasted pig. A spit roasted pig. Lechon is prepared by filling the inside of the animal pig with herbs and vegetables. The pigs are slowly hand roasted on top of charcoal for hours till their skin turns into reddish brown and the inside flesh becomes tender. Philippine lechon is often served with the thick liver sauce cooked with vinegar, sugar, and herbs. Philippine national symbols or mga pambansang sagisag ng Pilipinas. Bahay kubo or nipa hut. Bahay kubo is a shelter made of bamboo and palm leaves. It is a good place to take rest and eat typical food in the farm because of its material which allow good ventilation. The roof of the Philippine houses, the roof of the first Philippine houses, nipa huts are, or bahay kubo, were high, inclined, and typically open gabbled to allow for ventilation. The steepy sloping pitch also protected from the wind and rain in the typhoon season. The roof also provide wide extension roof space to provide shade from the hot sun. So the roof also provides wide extension roof space to provide shade from the hot sun. Pambansang sayaw or Philippine national dance, tinikling. The tinikling is a dance from Philippines which include two people hitting bamboo poles or piece of wood, using them to beat, tap, and slide on the ground and against each other in harmonization with one or more dancer who will step over and dance in between the poles. When the bamboo closes, the dancer must be fast enough to get their foot or feet caught. As the tinikling dance continues, the banging of the wood becomes faster and harder. The sounds of clashing bamboo excites the crowd, and the quickness of the feet demonstrated by the dancers awes them. The tinikling name came from the words locally known as tikling. The term tinikling literally means tickling like. Philippine national symbols or pambansang sagisag ng Pilipinas, Barong Tagalog. Barong Tagalog is a tuck or loose shirt for delicate fabric showing Chinese. Airy, tropical appearance Indo-Malayan, and elongated effect of Hindu influences, and the decorative captivity of European men's clothing. The barong appears to have preserved its fundamental look since it was first worn. Almost unnoticeably through the years, the barong's round neck, straight long sleeves, and mid-thigh hemline were resourcefully customized with collars, cuffs, and side slit. Pambansang kasuutan para sa mga babae o Philippine National Costume for Women. Baro at saya. Baro at saya is a collarless blouse and skirt, which means baro at saya, blouse and skirt. From the original half-naked style, the bare upper torso was slowly covered with a short sleeve, collarless blouse called baro. The whole look has developed into many layered collection of the kimono and inner shirt. The baro outer shirt with typically delicate materials, fine embroidery, and wide sleeves. Pambansang laro or Philippine national sports or game. Sipa. Philippine sipa is a hacky sack game, but instead of foot bag or metal stud, coin-like object or washer, with a tail or a bunch of rubber bands or colorful threads attached and knotted together is used. This is then kicked, sipa, into the air by the player or many times as many times as we can, without the sipa falling on the floor. I thought sepak takraw is our national game. I don't understand. Pambansang bayani or Philippine national hero. Dr. Jose Rizal is our national hero. Jose Protasio Rizal Mercado y Alonso Reyalonda was born on June 19, 1861 in Calamba, Laguna. He wrote the book Noli Me Tangere, El Filibusterismo, and the poem Mi Ultimo Adios. He was very intelligent. He is a Filipino polymath, nationalist, author, eye doctor, and the most well-known advocate for reforms in the Philippines during the Spanish colonial era. His monument now stands in Rizal Park, Manila, Philippines. The anniversary of Rizal's death is remembered as a Philippine holiday called Rizal Day. Rizal's na 1896 military trial and execution made him a martyr of Philippine Revolution. Pambansang sasakyan o Philippine National Vehicle. Kalesa or Philippine Kalesa is a horse-driven carriage that looked like an inclined cart, was introduced during the 18th century. The Kalesa has two round wheels on each side and two rows of seats that can accommodate four persons. The driver sits on the block of wood located at the front of the cart near the horse. This was one of the methods of transportation introduced in the Philippines in the 18th century by the Spaniards that only nobles and high-rank Spanish colonials could afford. The Ilustrados, who are the rich Filipinos who had their own businesses, used the calesa not only for traveling but as a way of transporting their goods as well. They are hardly ever used in the street nowadays except in tourist spots and some rural areas. South Sea Pearls. The color of the South Sea pearls is white to golden. Their extraordinary sizes are normally large, which is between 9 mm to as much as 19 mm, which made Philippine pearls very expensive. South Sea pearl is very valuable. Its beauty and elegant gleam honor its reputation as the queen of pearls. There are two basic groups of Philippine South Sea cultured pearls. There are white and black. Their colors range from white and silvery blue to pale gold. The golden or light yellowish varieties abound in Philippines and Indonesian waters, while the white or silvery hues occur mainly in Australian waters. Pambansang sapin sa paa or Philippine national footwear. Bakya or wooden clogs. Bakya or wooden clogs footwear is made from local light wood like santol or laniti. It is cut to the desired foot size before being shaven until smooth. The side of the bakya is thick enough to be carved with floral, geometric, or landscape designs. Afterwards, the bakya could then be painted or varnished. Uppers of plastic or rubbers will then be fixed firmly using clavitos or tiny nails, and the bakya is now ready to wear. The word bakya may also be used in the Philippines to indicate something that is low class, unsophisticated, or cheap. Oh, bakya. Pambansang awit or Philippine National Anthem. Lupang Hinirang. The entire song is translated into English as Land of the Morning. In English, Lupang Hinirang is beloved country and Filipinas in Spanish. Julian Felipe from Cavite composed the music to our national hymn. Jose Palma wrote the poem entitled Filipinas. We sing our Philippine national hymn to indicate our unity as a nation. It is generally sung during flag raising ceremonies and whenever there is an official and important event. Filipinos place their right hand on their left chest as they sing the Philippine national anthem, Lupang Hinirang, and we remember our heroes who gave their lives for our independence. Why only remember? We can do that as well. Diba? Pambansang wika or Philippine national language, Filipino. Development of Filipino, the national language of the Philippines. The emergence of the national language that could unite the whole country is the realization of a dream that goes back to the year 1935. President Manuel L. Quezon of the Commonwealth of the Philippines made this possible through the inclusion of an article in the 1935 Constitution of the Philippines regarding the development of national language. Of the more than 100 languages being spoken by the different ethno-linguistic group of the dwellers in the more than 7,100 islands comprising the Philippines, 8 of them are considered major languages. These major languages are Ilocano, Pangasinan, Pampango, Tagalog, Bicol, Cebuano, Hiligaynon, and Waray Samarnon. The 1935 Constitution, Article 14, Section 3, states that Congress, Congress shall make necessary steps toward the development of a national language which will be based on one of the existing native languages. There are two significant words in the statement, namely existing and native. The initial step made by the National Assembly was the passing of Commonwealth Act No. 184 of 1936 that created a national committee and empowered its members to decide on which one of the existing native major languages will the national language be based. The committee members were eminent linguists and each of them representing a linguistic group or one of the major languages. There were Jaime C. de Vera, Hiligaynon, Santiago Fonacier, Ilocano, Casimiro Perfecto, Bicol, Felix Salas Rodriguez, Samarnon, Felimon Soto, Cebuano, Cecilio Lopez, Tagalog, and Haji Butu, Maranao, Maguindanao. Mr. Jaime de Vera was the chairman of the said committee or committee. A year later, four more committee members were included. There were Isidro Abad, Cebuano, Zoilo Hilario, Pampango, Jose Sulweta, Pangasinan, and Lope K. Santos, Tagalog. After a thorough and earnest effort in studying the case, the committee recommended Tagalog to the basis of national language. Hence, the Executive Order Number 134, Series of 1937, stating that the national language will be based on Tagalog. 3 years after proclamation of Tagalog as the basis of national language, officially called Filipino since 1951 or 1959, it was decided as one of the official languages of the Philippines. It was taught as a subject in the teacher education courses and in the elementary and secondary schools throughout the country. Lope K. Santos, who was then the appointed director of the Institute of National Language, 1939, undertook the preparation of grammar book Balarila ng Wikang Pilipinas, which constitute the bulk of what was taught in school. The Tagalog-based national language was taught in school only as one of the subject areas 1940, but was not adapted as a medium of instruction. During World War II, the Japanese encouraged the use of national language rather than English in school. The Tagalog-based national language was therefore propagated not only in education but also in mass media and in official communication. The census for 1948 reported that 7,126,913 people, or 37.11% of the population, spoke the language, representing an increase of 11.7% from the 1939 figure of 4,068,565. Of these 7 million people, 47.7% learn it as second language or liaison. Once again, the national language issue sparked heated discussion during 1973 Constitutional Convention. A Committee on National Language or CNL was created by the convention delegates to look into the language question and to make recommendations on the policy that should be adopted on the matter. The CNL or Constitutional Convention League Committee 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 National Language or CNL, after hearing the conflicting testimonies from various language experts in the country, recommended that eliminate Filipino and replace it with a new common national language to be known as Filipino. Based on existing native languages, the Filipino to be developed pursuant to the 1973 Constitution could be a fusion of different native languages. This CNL recommendation met a great deal of opposition from various sectors of the community. They pointed out that such an artificial language was not feasible since it lacked both native speakers and literary tradition to help propagate it. Filipino. The national language of Philippines was finally settled in the 1987 Constitution. Article 14, Section 6 states that the national language of the Philippines is Filipino. As it evolves, it shall be further developed and enriched on the basis of existing Philippine and other languages. The Constitution also provided that, subject to provision of law, and as the Congress may deem appropriate, the government shall take steps to initiate and sustain the use of the Filipino as a medium of official communication as the language of instruction in the educational system. Section 7, for purposes of communication and instruction, the official language of the Philippines are Filipino, and until otherwise provided by law, English. The regional languages are the auxiliary official language in the region and shall serve as auxiliary media of instruction therein. It is predicted that by the year 2000, the Philippines will be a Filipino lingua franca speaking nation, which is quite an achievement wrought within a time frame of around 65 years. National Commission for Culture and Arts 2015. Philippine National Motto: Makadiyos, makatao, makakalikasan at makabansa. For the love of God, people, nature, and country. This has been explained in Module 4. Philippine National Pledge, mga pambansang sagisag ng Pilipinas. Pledge of Allegiance to the Philippine flag. I am a Filipino. I pledge my allegiance. How to pronounce it? Allegiance. Okay. So, Philippine allegiance. Pledge of allegiance to the Philippine flag. I am a Filipino. I pledge my allegiance to the flag of the Philippines and to the country she represents, with honor, justice, and freedom. That is put in motion by one nation for the love of God, people, nurture, and country. National Patriotic Song. Pilipinas Kong Mahal. This song is an original composition by Dr. Francisco Santiago. It is based on our native Condiman, and its solemnity and nobility expresses the inherent Filipino sentiment. A pioneer in merging Filipino folk song as a basic for classical music, Dr. Santiago was the first Filipino director of the Conservatory of Music at the University of the Philippines. The date of composition is 1931 during the American period. Himig, the Filipino Music Collection of FHL 2009. Filipinas Kong Mahal Lyrics. Lyrics Mode 2017. Ang bayan kong tanging ikaw. Ang bayan ko'y tanging ikaw. Pilipinas kong mahal, ang puso ko at buhay man. Sa iyo ibibigay, tungkulin ko'y gagampanan, na lagi kang paglingkuran, ang laya mo'y babantayan, Pilipinas kong hirang. May sipon ako eh. Ang bayan ko'y tanging ikaw, Pilipinas kong mahal, ang puso ko at buhay man. Sa iyo ibibigay, tungkulin ko'y gagampanan, na lagi kang paglingkuran, ang laya mo'y babantayan, Pilipinas kong hirang. Bayan Ko. This Tagalog song is actually a poem written by Jose Corazon de Jesus in 1929. It was set to music by Constancio de Guzman and became very popular during the struggle against the dictatorship of Ferdinand Marcos in the 1980s. Tagalog lang, 2002. Bayan Ko lyrics. Ang bayan kong Pilipinas, lupain ng ginto't bulaklak. Tama ba yung tono ko? Ang bayan kong Pilipinas, lupain ng ginto't... Taas ang kuha ko. Ang bayan kong Pilipinas, lupain ng ginto't bulaklak, pag-ibig na sa kanyang palad, nag-alay ng ganda't dilag, at sa kanyang yumi at ganda, dayuhan ay naalina. Bayan ko, binihag ka, nasaklak sa dusa. Ibon mang may layang lumipad, kulungin mo at umiiyak. Bayan pa kayang sakdal tilag, ang limag na sang makaalpas. Pilipinas kong minumutya, pugad ng luha at dalita, aking adhika, makita kang sakdal laya. Okay, the glossary, the conde, the male ruler of the country. Creole, Creole. A person born in the West Indies of Spanish America but of European, usually Spanish ancestry. So we have here the references and supplementary materials, Nstp, CWTS, LTS, Tilang Alexander et al., Jim Saville Publication, Malabon City. Copyright 2012, ISBN 978-971-0508754. And we have this the difference between nationalism and patriotism, May 2011, from www.differencesbetween.net. Language differences between nationalism and patriotism, June 2017. The Philippine National Symbols or Pambansang Sagisag ng Pilipinas, 2006, by from www.philippinecountry.com, Philippine National Symbols, HTML. Development of Filipino, the national language of the Philippines, 2015. ncca.gov.ph, Subcommission on Cultural Dissemination, Language and Translation, Development of Filipino, the national language of the Philippines. HIMIG, the Filipino Collection, or the Filipino Music Collection of FHL, 2009. www.himig.com.ph, Song 2043, Filipinas Kung Mahal, 2017. Tagalog Lang, 2002. Tagaloglang.com, Song Bayan Ko, My Country, June 2017. Lyrics Mode, www.lyricsmode.com, lyrics, F. Francisco Santiago, Filipinas Kong Mahal, lyrics.html. Creole, internet search maway.com, search ggmail. Hindi ko alam paano basahin. And Conde, nwictionary.org, wiki Conde, 2017. Yun lamang po ang sa ating topic ng nationalism versus patriotism. Hanggang sa muling mga module at pagbasa. Good night sa inyong lahat. Bye! God bless!